movies for black girl nerds.
Bobby, as I sat here, I thought about every corny King joke I could think of, every King quip. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. You come at the king, you best not miss. How many King jokes have you had from the time you started, even throughout these interviews today?
They're pretty good. They're pretty good. And but I have to tell you, it's the king, as you know. King is a dog's name, as he says in the movie. Is the king, yeah. And yeah, you're right. It's true, right? There have been so many kings. I loved his name. I told Ben when he asked me to do the movie, I said that's such a good name for a super villain. Just even the fact that he's running for mayor and you never learn his real name, that he's just the king, is very funny to me. But yeah, it does make for a lot of jokes on the name for sure.
For sure. This we had just a whole gumbo of things happening in this movie. We've got unlikely superheroes. We have the king who's running for mayor. We have just all these different things going on. And Jason Bateman with crab arms. During the course of that, the king is a very serious man. How serious was the king when the camera wasn't on and seeing Jason Bateman with these crab arms on?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm the worst. I just laugh. I laugh so easily. So I waste a lot of time and money on these movies because I can't keep it together. And Bateman, he plays it so straight, you know, he plays it like really serious. And he's got these ridiculous arms. And he would, every now and then, he would like emphasize something and he would like snap the claws, but really subtly. And I would just lose it. I would just drop. I would just laugh so hard. Same thing with the actress who plays Laser Palm. She was just so serious about it and she moved so slowly, and it was, you know, everybody made some really, really interesting, funny, serious choices. You know, the more serious you play it, the funnier it is. So I'm the worst though. I just laugh way too easy.
And you know, in an era with superheroes where you have nemesis, you know, the king holds his own. He has a very distinct, he has a great implied authority and real authority can be very intimidating. When you think of the great supervillains, what were some of the qualities that you think make a great supervillain that you brought into your own performance?
Oh, well, you know, I always I like Lex Luthor. I always liked Lex Luthor. I liked Lex Luthor because when I was a kid, I saw that Superman movie and I was the perfect age for it. And I remember being conflicted about Superman and Lex Luthor because Lex Luthor was rich and I was not rich as a little boy. So like I remember being like, oh, I want to be Superman, but damn, Lex Luthor's lives under the subway in like a mansion. I thought that was just the coolest thing. So I liked that the king was like a billionaire and he lived in a mansion with pictures of himself everywhere. I thought that was just so funny. And so, of course, that combined with the fact that he's physically the strongest man on earth, I think that's a pretty good combination. And I think that Lex Luthor being the original supervillain, right, from those Superman comic books, I don't think it's an accident that they made him like a billionaire. A lot of the times these supervillains are billionaires, right? So they can buy people and they can buy the best equipment and things. So I think that's pretty interesting, you know, that the villains a lot of the times in this genre are really, really rich folks.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever remember with that love of Lex Luthor and, you know, playing the king in this? When did you kind of figure out, you know, maybe it's not about just the villain being the bad guy? When did you start to realize maybe it's a conflict that happened to them that flipped them into who they are? Did you ever have that kind of awareness when you were younger?
When I was younger, you know what? I don't remember that when I was a kid. I do remember seeing that movie Unbreakable, the M. Night Shyamalan film with Bruce Willis and Sam Jackson. I love that movie. And Sam Jackson plays Mr. Glass. He's the he's the villain in that movie, and you learn his whole backstory. And I remember being really struck by that. I've never really seen that in a movie before, you know, getting the backstory of a villain to understand why he is the way he is. And of course, you know, that character had a debilitating condition where his bones broke, is why he called him Mr. Glass.
Yep.
And so that idea never really occurred to me when I was a child, to be honest. When I was a kid, all those, they weren't that sophisticated yet. They were all about the hero, those superheroes. It wasn't until much later that the graphic novel genre started to really pop, and so they could make these characters much more complex and even center the stories on the villains. So no, you know, I never really thought about it, but when I was a kid, it's something that was missing from my childhood, like in a way, enjoying these comics. It was a much more innocent time, of course, but it is an interesting phenomenon that happened really after I was a kid.
That's awesome. Well, you are great. I love the King. He was real cool with me. Thank you for your time, sir,
Thank you.
and have a
Thanks a
wonderful
lot.
day.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.